Good morning. This is Jerry Price back with you for another session for our CDL test prep program. I'm pretty excited to introduce to you Dave Hall. Did I get that right?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
Dave Hall. And I made connection with him through the Arkansas Trucking Association. And so I'm really just going to turn it over to Dave to talk about his career, and he'll introduce himself and talk about his various roles in the trucking industry and to give you a little bit of advice as you start into a career as a driver, or even if you're getting your CDL for other reasons. He's got some good career advice for you. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dave.
Morning. Thank you, Jesse. It's good to be here, join you all. My name's David Hall. I am road team captain for the Arkansas Trucking Association, but that's not my full-time job. My full-time job is working at ABF Freight right here in North Little Rock, Arkansas. I've been with them for 10 years, but that's my career started back in 1987. I became a dock worker for Yellow Freight, and I worked on the dock for about 4 years, went to the yard, did some hustling around the yard for 2 years, and started being intrigued about driving over the road. So I believe it was 1992. I started driving over the road, and I've never looked back since. And it's been a pretty good career. I stayed with Yellow until 2014. I started up there with New York with them. So in 2014, I left on a change of operations, come to Little Rock, Arkansas with Yellow, and I stayed till 2014, and I came over to ABF. It's been a pretty good career. Uh, it has its up and downs all through the years, but it has been a good. Uh, it's been good benefits wise, pay wise has been pretty good. It's helped me put three of my kids through college, two of them which are still going to college. Hopefully they graduate soon. But as far as being on the road, I've never regretted it. Like I said, I started in '92, and I thought what I did, I dropped my seniority for 6 months to go out on the road to the bottom of the board. So I wanted to make sure I wanted to do this because if I didn't like it, I could come back into the dock in the yard. So for that, and I did it in the wintertime. In the wintertime in New York, my first road trip was in the snowstorm going up to Canada. And like I said, I never looked back since. It's been a couple of hair raising moments, but it's been a good career to me. And it's
Hey,
opened
Dave,
up a lot of.
can
Oh,
I interrupt for a second?
yes, ma'am.
I've got to toss this out here. For
Okay.
some of our kids in Arkansas, they've not experienced some of that type of driving. Talk about maybe one story that was like a really scary moment for you as a driver regarding weather and icy conditions, or even something else. But a
Well,
little bit of practical, like, hey, I had this situation one time, and something they might run into someday.
every 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 weather condition, especially when it's snowing and icy, it's hair raising. I mean, some are worse than others. It's just I've never really had a really bad incident. I almost missed Christmas one time because of it. Because I got, and matter of fact, that was down here in Missouri with the snowstorm. But uh, scary moments. I mean, it's always scary and on the road when the snow and ice is covered on the road because you got to watch what you're doing, watch what other people are doing. You definitely got to drive defensively. Slow yourself down. Don't, and most of all, don't get in a rush. But as far as a scary moment, I've been on the road with 12 inches of snow and doing 50 miles an hour, and I've been on thin ice, slipping all over the place. It's just weird how it reacts. Just got to watch yourself and slow, and be cautious.
So it was really more a matter of white knuckling it through the situation versus like you had a situation where like you about got killed, or,
Yeah.
ended
I
up
mean,
off
I've
in
looked
some.
back. See, I drive doubles all the time. The twin trailers. So I've looked back and seen them. I've learned not to look in the mirrors in icy weather because them things they don't call them wiggle wagons for nothing because they do wiggle. I had one time up in north where the wind blew me. I was on ice, and the wind blew me, and it got the truck all over the place. I mean, a very hair raising moment real quick. So you just don't know when it's going to happen.
So what is the difference really, like just technically with driving, a double versus a single? What are things you have to actually watch out for?
You got a lot more pivot points, because you got a gear in the middle. To me, it's a lot easier to drive because the dog tracking, which is dog tracking, is when the trailer it doesn't follow your tractor, so the dog tracking is a lot less than the long trailer. The only issue about doubles is you can't back up very far. That's the only issue. If you get in a tight spot and you can't get out of it, you got to break down the set and turn around and get away. Where it's like a long trailer, you can just reverse out of there. But for as far as driving down the road, and it's a lot easier to me. The maneuverability is a lot easier unless you get in tight spots like like backing up to a dock or something like that. You have to break them down and stuff like that and back both trailers. But I've been doing that for over 30 years. It's just what I got to do is when I do have a long trailer, I got to remember I have a long trailer because they dog track a lot worse than a set of doubles because you don't realize that you'll hit something. So, but that's the difference. And you just got a lot more connections with hoses and airs and fifth wheels that you got to hook up and be mindful of. So, still got 18 wheels though.
So it's just a little more complex in some areas, but it's
Right,
in some ways it's easier, in some ways it's harder, but it's just
right.
a matter of learning the job like everything
That's
else.
right. The benefit with hauling setup ups is you get more freight on two trailers than you do one long one. That's the benefit for a company would be. So,
Very good. Okay, well, I'll let you continue. I just wanted to jump in there and see if you had something really cool to tell the kids about scary experiences.
yeah, I mean, this I'm trying to think of one, but they're all. I mean, they get all the same after a while. Just it's like be mindful. But anyways, where I leave off, I came down in 2001. Quit. Yeah, I've been with ABF, and that's a lot of opportunities. Started with yellow and about getting involved with the road teams with the state, and then with ABF, I got involved with the road team with the company, and I also I participate in the National Truck Driving Championship and the State Truck Driving Championship since 2002. So I've been doing that for the last 20 years. That's opened up some doors for me too.
Talk a little bit about that. I bet the kids don't know anything about the competitions that truck drivers can enter. What are the different, parts of that competition, and what is that what does that look like?
Well, every year the Arkansas Trucking Association puts up a truck driving championship up there in Rogers, Arkansas. They've been doing that ever since I moved down here. But they got 7 different classes. You got your 5 axle, your 4 axle, you got your sleeper class, your flatbed class, your tanker class, your straight truck. It's there's a couple more classes I'm missing, but those classes that you can enter, and it involves. So once you enter that class, it involves a written test, which you got to study for about the industry. About it's not only about the industry; it's about hazmat, it's about health, it's about fire. It covers a lot of things that you might not think involves you, but it's good to know. Then you have an obstacle course, and ironic thing about that, you try to stay away from everything as far as you can all year long. Well, now you try to get as close as you can without hitting the object, but you got to be as close as you can. And the other thing is a pre-trip inspection, which we do every day, but it's a lot more intricate there. They plant 6 defects. Well, they plant 6 majors, then they might plant another 5 or 10 more minors that you have to look for on that truck, and that can be very, very stressful at times. But because you can go around and not find one thing, and it's been good. I mean, that's a challenging. Then if you win that, if you get first place, you go to nationals, and nationals could be held anywhere. They've been held in Columbia, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Salt Lake City. But I've been to 5 nationals, and I placed first in 2019. I placed second in 2015 at nationals. So, but that's pretty good competition. So, and what really the benefit about that is not only the competition, it's like a family reunion every year. You get to meet the same, your friends that you don't see all year long. It's just like a big family reunion for everybody. It's great.
Talk about the camaraderie among truck drivers. That's not something, that's not a topic that we've hit on with the kids at all, that are in our program. Talk a little bit about the camaraderie or the brotherhood
Well,
that has developed with you and your friends.
it's like back with the truck competition and guys at work. I mean, used to be CBs we used to talk on, but CBs they still use them, but not as much as cell phones. And of course, we're hands free just to be safety on that one. And I'll talk to the guys probably all night long, and we'll probably not talk about nothing, but we're just having good old time and talking amongst each other. And that's same with the guys that I know at truck driving championship with other companies. You get to talk with them, and you talk to them all year long. And if you need help, if anybody can help you out, we'll most definitely do it. So, as far as like coming up to the nationals or for the state championships, like training, we'll get together, and it's just not ABF. It's just people from other companies. We'll get that. We might go up to Rogers and train up there and practice, or they might come down here, and it's just a big family. That's all it is. And we really enjoy getting together every year.
Talk a little bit about ABF, the company, and like how old would a guy have to be or a girl, either one, to come to work at ABF, and then kind of what is your part of, like we've talked to Coca-Cola, we've talked to
Right.
SMG, we know what those companies do. What does ABF do? What do they deliver? What is their niche, so to speak?
Uh, well, of course, they really pride themselves with service. Of course, all trucking companies are service, but they really pride themselves with the service, and they're deliver. Well, they got a saying. It's called Driftfoot. It's an acronym. Do it right the first time. So, but to get in ABF, you have to be 21, and you have to have 1 year experience, I believe. I'm not. I believe it's 1 year experience. And you have to have all your endorsements. Your what I mean, doubles, triples, tankers. You got to have hazmat, and I believe that's all you have to have. Of course, your combinations, your combination and air brakes. You got to have all your endorsements for that. But uh, it's it can be a struggle starting. Of course, ABF's a union company. It could be a struggle for the first year starting with them because naturally you might get laid off like around Christmas time. Of course, freight's always slow around Christmas time, but if you just stick with them for a few years, it's a great company. You know, it's a great company to work for. You got excellent benefits. Uh, the only downside about it is you're on call. For the first few years, you'll get bids and stuff like that, and that's the dock too. The dock's a little different. You won't be on call. You'll be assigned work on that one, but and you do have to have a CDL license to be work on a dock because what they'll do is you'll work the yard, or you might go out in the city do pick up deliveries for
And
them.
when you
As
say
far
the dock, do you mean here in Arkansas or do you mean out?
any dock that
Yeah.
that they're hiring on,
Okay.
for ABF.
So for the guys, what are some of the places where there are docks that ABF uses locally or
Uh,
in this region?
up in your area, we got a city. It's a city operation. It's a inland line terminal, which is down there in Fayetteville. I don't know if you're familiar with where Sam's Club's down there, where the drive-in theater. That's where, and then we have one in Fort Smith too. It's not the main. That's another inland line terminal. So there's small docks. Our big dock is North Little Rock. Our other big dock closest to there would be Kansas City. Big dock. But we got an end of line terminal up in Joplin and Springfield, Missouri too. So that's close to that region. So
So a person that's not familiar with this at all, basically what happens is that the freight comes in, it gets moved over to one of your trucks, an ABF
right,
truck, and then you deliver it all over the country. but regionally for the most part, like it comes on a train or it comes on however it gets to that spot. Usually, is it a train for the ones you mentioned?
No, no. What we
Nope.
usually do, like at like your terminal, the Springdale terminal, I'll go with the, I'm sorry, the Fayetteville terminal, is we have city drivers. So at the beginning of the day, they'll go out. Well, we'll like from Little Rock, we'll bring a load in there for them to go out and deliver in the city. So for half the day, they're delivering half the day. Then after lunch or somewhere like that, they start picking up freight. So they'll bring it back to that terminal and load it up in trailers. And somebody would like me would go up and pick it up and we'll be delivering next day's freight. We'll have another trailer for next day and we'll pick up that day's freight, come back to Little Rock and they'll sort it in Little Rock and it might be going out to California. So like today, I'm going out to Albuquerque. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going out to Amarillo at 11 o'clock. So I'll, for example, I might take that freight all the way out to Amarillo and what happens, Amarillo is a relay. So what happens, the Amarillo driver will take out the Albuquerque. So if it's going out to California, it will just keep going, leapfrogging. There's just certain terminals that we relay to. And you're right. Like me, I'm a regional. They call me an over road driver, but it's more regional because the furthest I go is like I'll go out to Albuquerque or Atlanta or Chicago or maybe down to San Antonio. That's and anywhere in between that. That's about as far as I go out of Little Rock. Now, like Albuquerque is another big break bulk, like Little Rock, North Little Rock is, and they'll do the same thing in their region, and they'll deliver the it's just like it's like they call it a spoke and hub uh, system. Like the break bulk's the hub, then you spoke out to the end of the line terminals. That's what the program's called.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And I know for you that you live in that world every day, but for those of us and the young guys that are in this program, we don't have a concept of what that looks like. So that
Right.
helps us really kind of get a picture, kind of about how everything works. And I think we heard similar things when we went to Walmart last year. Their distribution center is
Yeah.
what they call it. And then they have the spokes and the guys go out in all different directions from there. So that makes a
So
lot of sense.
right. So ABF is an LTL carrier, which is LTL means less than truckload, which that there's multiple shipments on that trailer that go to multiple places. That's what the less than truckload means. Now, LT means, I mean, TL is truckload, which like Walmart will have one truckload for a Pacific Center. So the whole load goes, and like JB Hunt does it. They got dedicated trailers for a whole load, and they just go from point A to point B, or something like that. Not too familiar about. I'm familiar about it, but not too familiar about their operation with that. But that's what a truckload means.
Tell us a little bit about the rules when you go, like how many hours can you drive before you have to stop and take a break and those kinds of rules for the kids that really don't know much about that yet, that part of your
So
world.
this is where some of the dislikes to me are. I mean that not so much the regulation, but the long hours. Because it does have long hours and it does take away from your family. But you may just make the most of it. So your hours of service, you got a 14-hour day, and you can drive 11 of those hours in that day, and you have to take a break before your eighth hour. You got to take a half-hour break. You can take a longer break if you want to, but you got to show a half-hour break. There are some stipulations, and depends on what you feel to get into. So if you get into agriculture, then there's a whole different set of rules for agriculture. They got their own set of rules about hours of service. Uh, as far as the majority, though, you got a 14-hour day, but there are stipulations like adverse conditions that you can extend your hours for up to 2 hours, but there's certain situations that you have to be in to get that exemption. And you also have a short haul exemption, which that is short haul is means that it involves mostly a city driver. You have to be at your home domicile by the end of the day for a short haul exemption every day. You can't go out to, like me, you can't go out to Amarillo and use your short haul exemption tomorrow. That doesn't allow me to do that. But the adverse condition, like that's another exemption, which it gets a lot intricate into that. But there's more. Uh, I can use that one, except because I'm on a lay down. But as far as that's about what it is in a nutshell about the hours of service. So you can stay on duty for that whole time, but you just can't. You got to have a 10-hour break after you drive before you drive again. So if you're on duty for that whole 14 hours and go off duty, you can't drive for 10 hours until you have a 10-hour break. You must have a 10-hour break in between shifts. So when you log off duty.
So
And
when you go like far away and it takes you like a truck driver, it takes them 10 hours to get to a specific place. And
right.
then they're stopped and they're quote off duty while they're getting switched
Mhm.
out or whatever, they have to do. That counts as a part of their 10-hour break while
Yes.
they're
Yes.
getting
They have to
offloaded
be
or,
yeah. They have to be relieved the duty of all responsibilities for the truck for 10 hours. That might,
so,
for some people like me, I don't have a sleeper. I have which is called a day cab, but got, drive, not, I should say drivers, not guys, but,
yeah.
uh, they go back in the sleeper, and once they're, in the sleeper for 10 hours, that qualifies as a break. And the sleeper has a whole different set of rules too. They could split up their sleeper berth, which I've never been involved in that, and I don't understand all that.
Okay.
So my son's
But
been trying to explain to me. My son's a DOT officer, so he's been trying to explain it to me. So, but
so
that's
what
about
I'm
it.
hearing is that there are rules that have to be followed. It's really important to know which rules you fall under, but you're gonna be trained on that if you go to work for, you know,
Yeah,
any
yeah,
ABF or any other company. They'll train you on what your rules are, but it's not just just go drive as much as I want or,
no,
do you get
no.
paid by the mile? Do all truck drivers get paid by the mile or how does that
It depends
work?
on what company you're working for. Like me, I get paid by the mile. So I get paid by the mile. Then there's certain circumstances that if I'm sitting waiting for a load or waiting for bills or waiting for getting a tire fixed, I get paid by the hour for that one. Well, other companies don't. Some companies they make them give up some time before they get what I just said about the tire. You know, but like I said, some companies don't get paying for nothing. You're sitting on the side of the road, especially if you own your own business. That's where the downfall is at. Uh, but for the most part, I get paid for almost all when I'm on duty. So except for taking breaks, naturally, and stuff like that. Uh, like I said, this depends on what company you work for, how they manage their pay. But for the most part, most majority of truck drivers get paid by the hour. Or I'm sorry, paid by the mileage. Mileage.
Okay. Well, we're running out of time, so I have one last question for
Okay.
you, and we'll kind of wrap it up. And so this question is, what advice do you have for a young driver, somebody just getting started? They want to launch into this career. They're 18 years old. We're getting them through the test, getting them to school. As they launch into a career as a driver, what are some of the best advice that you've ever gotten or things that you've learned over the years that you feel like would be super beneficial for them to hear from an experienced driver? What's your best advice for a young person who's launching into a career driving?
Um, First of all, it's a good career to get into. It's long hours. It's long hours and be away from home. Those are the downfalls. But as far as advice, the only thing I can say over the years is be patient and share the road. Be very patient because there's a lot of impatient people. I wouldn't say a lot, but there are a few that'll definitely test your nerves going down the road. It's a stressful job. It can be a stressful job. But I've learned over the years just I'm not going to be able to do nothing about it. Just relax. And the most and the most thing is you get more out giving in than taking over. As far as letting people in, cutting you off. Just I know I know how we all are about that, but you just got to shake it off and be patient and learn how to share the road. And hopefully one day, those people learn how to share the road too. always be patient because it's not a race. And to get there, it's just, you want to get there safe and get back to your family safe. And you hope everybody else does the same thing.
Right. That's great advice. Just that realization. I like what you said, you know, it's easier and better for you in the long run just to give in,
Yeah.
let them do what they're gonna do, and you be safe, get back to your family, make sure they
Yeah.
get back to their family without incident. So that's great advice for a young guy, because I know when I was younger, I really would have struggled with that. I'm sure
It's
I would
tough.
want to have show, you know, how big
Yeah.
I am kind of thing.
It's, and I'm not, you know, it's still tough to this day, but I've learned, you know, I wish I'd learned a lot long ago to, you know, hold them feelings back, I would say. But yeah, that is the toughest part of this job, is just to share the road. Keep,
Awesome.
keep a lot of patience.
Well, Dave, I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for taking a part of your day, you know, to talk with our young people that are looking at this career. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your advice, and also just talking a little bit about ABF and what a great company it is. I feel like I see ABF trucks all over the place, so I know
Yes,
that
ma'am.
they definitely are a large company that would be probably a really good company to work for, especially hearing that they pay you by the hour when you're on downtime and whatnot.
Right.
So
Right.
some different things like that sound really good. So thank you for your time today. I appreciate you.
Well, I thank you and good luck to you all. I
Yep.
appreciate it.
Bye bye.
You have a good day. Bye bye.